Senator Ted Cruz is a hero to the people of Nigeria, and he is perhaps today's most vocal U.S. lawmaker on Christian persecution in that nation. Let's be clear about something. We all know here there's an elephant in the room, and that is the religious ideology that inspires the jihadists to rape and murder, and it's taboo to mention. Senator Cruz speaks truth to the obfuscators. Just yesterday, he said jihadists have killed 50,000 Christians in Nigeria. Let's not forget that. His bill, S2747, is currently still before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Please let us welcome Senator Ted Cruz.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Tony, thank you for that word of prayer. I needed that. I can't speak for anyone else, but I needed that today. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you today. I want to thank the International Committee on Nigeria and the Endowment for Middle East Truth for hosting this critical forum today. The more we work together, the more we gather like this, the more we shine a light on the atrocities happening in Nigeria, the closer we get to resolution. In the Gospel of John, Jesus tells us, if they persecute me, they will persecute you also. As Christians, we know that persecution is part of our walk with the Lord. Since the church's founding, Christians around the world have been captured, beaten, and even killed for their faith. I want to begin by taking us back a few weeks to March 29th. Palm Sunday services were held around the world, ushering in the most holy and somber week Christians observe. Believers were united, waving palm leaves and branches, reflecting on when Christ rode into Jerusalem before his betrayal and crucifixion. But in north-central Nigeria, a very different Palm Sunday unfolded. On that single day, 53 Nigerians were murdered in 3 separate killing sprees. And the attackers were all targeting the same thing: Christians. Families were broken in a matter of minutes. Lives were stolen and cut short. And Christians in Nigeria yet again mourned another tragedy. This attack, both tragic and vile, is not unlike the persecution Christians in Nigeria have faced day after day, week after week, year after year. Even last year, more than 240 Christians were slaughtered in Nigeria during the season of Lent and Easter. Hundreds of stories like this have been documented, and more than 52,000 Christian Nigerians, 52,000, have been murdered since 2009. There is no place on the planet where more Christians are being killed than Nigeria. And these are not isolated incidents, they are part of a pattern. A pattern of targeted violence, systematic intimidation, and a failure, both within Nigeria and across the international community, to condemn and to take meaningful action against these crimes. Boko Haram and other Islamist groups have waged a ruthless insurgency marked by unspeakable brutality. They have burned churches to the ground, abducted and raped women and children, and executed Christians simply for refusing to renounce their faith. Many years ago, during the Obama administration, some of y'all will remember Miriam Ibrahim. Miriam was imprisoned in Sudan. She was imprisoned and she was sentenced to receive 100 lashes and then to hang by the neck until dead for the crime of being a Christian. Miriam had her toddler son, Martin, in the prison cell with her. And she was pregnant, and they delayed the sentence till she gave birth to her infant daughter, Maya, whom she delivered while she was in leg irons. Now, I spoke about Miriam Ibrahim multiple times on the Senate floor, calling for her release, trying to shine a light. I will tell you, I begged President Obama to say her name. Samantha Power, the UN ambassador, Samantha Power, to her credit, did say her name. She spoke up for Miriam. And I said, why will Obama not do this? I don't understand. But even though he was silent, others around the globe were not. And so much light and attention was focused on Miriam that the Sudanese government relented and released her. And I actually had the opportunity, Tony brought her to D.C. I had the opportunity to meet her. I'd never met her. She's a little bitty woman. Can't weigh more than 95 pounds. And a quiet woman. And I remember asking her when I met her, look, she was told, we will torture and murder you unless you renounce Jesus. Now, as Christians, we all hope we know what we would do in that circumstance. But I've never faced that. I've never looked in the eyes of my captor who would torture and murder me or murder my children. And I asked her, I said, Miriam, how did you not lose hope? How did you not despair sitting in that prison cell with your babies? And she looked at me with a peace that I still remember. And she simply said to me, Jesus was with me. That's powerful. That was powerful when Miriam went through it, and it is powerful now in Nigeria when Christians are going through it week after week after week. Religious persecution has come into the spotlight over the past years. But for too long, the stories of communities being destroyed have not made national or international headlines. More than 20,000 churches and Christian schools and institutions burned to the ground. Systematic oppression. So as Christians, and as human beings, we have an obligation to act. By the way, yesterday at the hearing that you referenced, Senator Cory Booker said, well, we should be concerned about the Christians being killed in Nigeria, but what about the Muslims? Why are you not concerned about them? And you know what I said? Of course I'm concerned about the Muslims. And yes, Boko Haram and the jihadists murder Muslims as well. And that is wrong and evil. But what they're doing to Christians is systematic persecution. They are deliberately singling out and persecuting Christians. And I did point out, I said for years, I have also been calling out communist China for imprisoning over 1 million Muslim Uyghurs in concentration camps. While the Biden administration continued to funnel millions of dollars to communist China that kept those concentration camps going. So let's be clear, as Christians and human beings, we have an obligation to speak out against murder and torture and slavery and atrocity wherever it might be found. But when Christians are being systematically persecuted, anyone who remains silent is complicit. Last year, I introduced the Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act to protect Christians along with other religious minorities facing persecution in Nigeria by holding accountable Nigerian officials who facilitate Islamist jihadist violence and the imposition of blasphemy and Sharia law. And understand, the government is actively complicit in enforcing blasphemy and Sharia law as tools to target and persecute the Christians. Government leaders like to say these are rogue terrorists doing this, not us. But the government's hands are not clean. In many instances, they are actively enforcing the laws used for persecution. In other instances, they're simply looking the other way. This legislation will impose targeted sanctions on Nigerian officials responsible for facilitating violence against Christians. Now, I'm very pleased, following my urging, that President Trump followed through and designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern. That was a very important decision the president made. And as awareness of the persecution has grown, we can say this is a step in the right direction, but there is more that can and should be done. As people of faith, as advocates for human dignity, we are called to something higher. We're called to speak. We're called to act. We're called to pray. Thank you for reminding us of that. And we're called to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters who cannot safely stand for themselves. We need to continue shining a light on these atrocities for justice and for an end to persecution, for peace. Forums like this are critical to our shared mission of ending Christian persecution in Nigeria. So I want to thank all of you again. This attention, this light is powerful. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for standing up for those united to us in faith. I want to leave you with a verse of encouragement from the book of 2 Corinthians. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. We always carry around in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be revealed in our body. For we who are alive are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that his life may also be revealed in our mortal body. So then, death is at work in us, but life is at work in you. I look forward to continuing this fight alongside each and every one of you. And may justice prevail.
We're going to like this a lot. Okay. Wonderful.